Hello my loves and welcome back. Yes, we're back in Yharnam. We're back in Bloodborne, in fact. Back fresh from our victory in the Chalice dungeons over the abhorrent beast. And abhorrent it was indeed. We've moved the night on by killing Vicar Amelia. We've done this a little earlier than we have in the previous playthroughs. I normally do Hemwick Charnel Lane before doing the before killing Vicar Amelia, because Hemwick Charnel Lane is actually much easier in the previous phase of the night. There are now going to be monsters that appear and enemies that are much stronger in Hemwick Charnel Lane that weren't there before. But before we do that, we've got to take out these two. There are two hunters down here guarding the way, and they're not too bad. They're not too difficult. This guy you can take out quite easily and quite subtly without arousing the other one if you're quite quick. It's the only trick with him is getting close to him, because he does have a lot of bullets. This tree is going to help a great deal. He is dead. Oh, the other one's coming. This guy has a Tonitrus, which makes him a bit of a pain in close combat. But as long as you keep him at arm's length, this guy isn't too bad. As hunters go, these two are relatively easy. They kind of ease you in to the fights with the hunters. Generally speaking, the hunters are the hardest fights in this game. Certainly, most of the hardest bosses are hunter bosses. It's people like Gascoigne and Gehrman and Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower. The two hunters the white and black church hunters that you find after Ludwig in the Hunter's Nightmare. There he goes, a nice bit of visceraling there with a holy moonlight blade. Oh yes, that was fun, wasn't it? Oh, someone died there. Ah, oh well, poor luck. It looks like he was doing rather well. What's going on here? Oh, okay, fine. I don't know what's going on in there. It sounds like fun though. The sounds here are different depending on the phase of the moon. Everything alright then? That's what I'm going to assume. Everything's going on fine in there. You know, considering this is Yharnam, that's reasonably hopeful, isn't it? Oh, hello. It's a snatcher. Don't need you anymore. I've already been to Yargul, so I can kill you now. This is an interesting way, actually. We don't have the item that we need to open the way to the Hunter's Nightmare yet. We need to get the Tonsure Stone, I think it's called, or the Tonsil Stone, I can't remember. But we need to go to Hemwick to get that. And then we need to go to the Forbidden Woods, which we can do now because we have killed Vicar Amelia. So we've got the password. We know how to open the door. Oh, I don't know, but can the Snatchers take you to Yargul twice? Or if they kill you a second time, do they just die? Oh, Scrabbly. What's he got? Nah, nothing much, no. Nah, that wasn't great. Could have been a lot better, really. Let's go up and get that other item. It really is worth, like, exploring this game. It's one of the things I adore about From Software's games. They throw in so many little secrets, so many areas where it's so worth exploring. That's what games are about, isn't it? That's what video games are about, exploring virtual environments, finding different things. That sensation of discovering a secret is as exciting now to me as it was when I was a kid playing games on the Commodore Amiga. And FromSoft, they have this peculiar capacity where they understand that. They understand how it works and how to cultivate it and arouse that feeling, that association. It's very cool. So it's this little chapel that we want to be going to, but it's guarded. It's guarded by executioners. These guys are very cool as well. The executioners, the implication is that they were created by Lorgarius and the other hunters of the Vile Bloods, cultivated somehow to be perfectly attuned to killing Vile Bloods. Quite what they are and how they were created is anybody's guess. He's proving difficult to stagger, this one. I will get him eventually. There we go. They are quite vulnerable to that. But they're one of those creatures in Yharnam that's clearly not entirely human anymore. They're like the church doctors and whatnot. They've been altered for a specific purpose. And probably in some agonizing surgical or occult way, or some mixture of the two. Ah, I got you with a poison knife. Come on. I want to arouse him now and fight him over here, because there are two Scrabblies down there, and I'd like to get them both if possible. They're not called Scrabblies, they're called scuttling beasts, but I like to call them Scrabblies. Yes, come on. One only has to wonder what was done to these people to turn them into these things, the executioners. I mean, clearly they are cultivated. I mean, they were created by Logarius and his followers in some vile ritual or rite, specifically to take out vile bloods. So God knows how that works. Oh, I missed him. God. Ah, they're going to get away! No, they're not. Right. Let's go after the other one before he disappears. Where's he gone? Oh, we might just get him. We might just get him. Come here. Oh, he's running away. He's running away. Good. Wonderful. There's even implication with those things. The implication with them is that they come from the Nightmare of Mensis, because there are lots of them there, and there are much bigger ones. That seems to be their natural environment. Now, if you come out here without the sufficient insight, you don't see the amygdala up there. You just find an empty chamber. But with our insight as it is, we can see that there is something here, something waiting. And if we try to get through that door there, it will grab us. But we don't have the right item, so it will just kill us, unfortunately. If we can get the tonsure stone, or the tonsil stone, or whatever it's called, then when it picks us up, it will send us to the Nightmare of Mensis, which is really useful. Or rather, the Nightmare Frontier. And that's where it sends us. One of the realms of dreaming that were created during the College of Mensis's experiments. Most of the problems that are facing Yharnam on this night of the hunt come from, well, I mean, you know, to be fair, Yharnam has a lot of problems that are many and varied, but this night there's something different. Not only are we involved, which makes things different, there's also the ritual of Mensis occurring, which is changing the dynamic of the night. It's kind of perverting everything. You know, it's not as though the night isn't perverse in and of itself, but the involvement of Mensis and its magics is transforming everything. It's altering the nature of the night and of the dream. It's very cool. Oh fuck. Oh, that's not good. That frenzy's going to build like you wouldn't believe. Oh, we were lucky to survive that. Because we've got such high arcane and such high insight, frenzy affects us badly. It's not something we want to have to deal with if we can help it. Righty-ho. This is the passage through to Hemwick Charnel Lane. When I first played the game, before I'd read up about it, I didn't even know this passage existed. I never came down here. I completely ignored it. You don't have to come down here at all. It's just a little out of the way area, which meant the first time I played the game through, I played it through without the item that allows you to apply the runes, which is foolish. These monsters, the moon, because we've moved the night onto a new phase, these shadow monsters can now manifest, whereas they couldn't before. If you come here before you've killed Vicar Amelia, you approach at dusk, and so the whole dynamic of this area is different. Those shadow monsters don't manifest when the sun is still out. And also, certain creatures within Hemwick Charnel Lane will not have the arcane abilities that they will now, because the moon is out. Those are little subtle things in the game that I just adore. And if as and when they come out with a remake of it for the PS5 or a sequel, then they need to emphasize those elements, because they are brilliant. They kind of make the game, you know? Oh, we've got to be so careful. Those guys are going to shoot the hell out of us if we're not careful. There we go. There we go. I'm glad I recorded this beforehand, I'm telling you, because I'm still, I wouldn't say suffering. I had the second Pfizer vaccine recently. Ironic, given the game we're playing, I know, and what happened to our hunter at the beginning. The side effects have been fine. It hasn't been that bad at all. It's just left me with this slightly floaty, flu-like feeling where I'm not quite connected to these things, these shadow creatures. The same that the Witch of Mensis summons. You only find them in this area, and if the moon is out. It's very cool, isn't it? They are the creations of the Witches of Mensis. Or the Witches of Hemwick, rather. It's a very cool thing. That happens a lot in this game. There are certain areas where if you go to them at particular phases of the moon, they are different. And I adore that. I think that is absolutely stunning. It means that it's well worth revisiting areas that you've been as well. Because you might find that certain ways are open, you might find that certain characters appear or disappear, you might find monsters there that weren't there before. It's really cool. I mean, I adore that. That's what video games should be like. Endlessly various and interesting, as this game is. And it's never not bloody hard, I'm telling you. I know people who can't even get past like the first encounters in this game. And I can see why. I can see why. It takes a lot of investment and dedication in order to learn this game. It's very cool in that regard. I love these top hat guys. There's lots of them around here. Lots of them. Rejects from a 1980s British heavy metal band. Hello. I love the implied background of Hemwick Charnel Lane. It's called Hemwick Charnel Lane because there are gravestones everywhere. It's like it's built on a graveyard. Like it's the cemetery district of Yarnham. And it's almost as though you never get it said, you never get it stated, because that's not what this game is about. But you get the impression that there's an entire culture that lives there, just outside of Yarnham, but that serve Yarnham, that are like a working class caste whose purpose is to dispose of dead bodies. They are a funereal caste. It's really cool, and it's a matriarchal society as well. It's primarily women, and they go full on like Wicker Man with it. That's the style of horror here. It's folk horror. It's another element of the horror that Bloodborne incorporates. It's folk horror. So it's as though a cult has developed in Hemwick Charnel Lane based on witchcraft. All of the women there are witches. They are all quite mad. It's though they've been driven mad by the moon. You know, there's a kind of lunar cycles thing going on. It's a beautiful reference to that tradition in horror of the lunar cycle being tied to the notion of the very misogynistic notion of the hysterical woman, you know. It's very clever because it's referencing that tradition in horror. But it's also a part of this game's own mythology. So when you see what the Witches of Hemwick are doing, it's like a distorted, perverted version of the rituals and the rites from the College of Mensis. It's as though they've somehow received via some almost like a Chinese whispers thing rumour of what's going on in Mensis and have created their own distorted, perverted version. It does work though. The way they gain their insight is via a similar means by which Mensis does, which is in and of itself, the rituals of Mensis are perversions and derivations of what's going on at Bergenworth. So it's like these layers of occultism and metaphysics all the way down. It's so cool. I love that. And what's more, it works. I mean, it's a perverted metaphysics, so the results of the rites and rituals are themselves perverted. But it does work. You'll see what I mean when we get to the boss. Because the boss, of course, is the Witch of Hemwick. The Witch of Hemwick seems to be the character that has led this cult, if you like. The one that has perverted the minds and even the bodies of the people of Hemwick. It's as though she is the core of the atrocity here. And what she's done, she's very like those witch models. She's the same model as those witches we encountered in Yargul. You know, the ones that are scampering around that try to grab you and rip out your eyes. That's what they're trying to do. Eyes, as we know from the teachings of Bergenworth, eyes are a pathway to the occult in this game. The followers of Bergenworth's ideology, they eschewed the use of the old blood because they knew it was perverting. So what they do instead is they've created this means of grafting eyes onto themselves and into themselves via surgical and occult means. Look at that. I mean, look at the framing of that entrance with the crows going. You've got that weird structure in the background, the hunter framed so beautifully. That's gorgeous, isn't it? That is just the artistry of this game at work. But yeah, Bergenworth came up with this means of... The scholars of Bergenworth have come up with this occult... Oh, there they are, having their little dance. This occult means of grafting eyes onto and into themselves. And it allows them insight into... Quite literally, it allows them insight into the other realms of dreaming, the other nightmares. It even allows some of them access to them. And it does work. It is actually a means of transcendence that works. We know that because it's actively transformed the scholars of Bergenworth into creatures, into what might be called monsters, but which are also creatures of transcendence. They're creatures of the kin and of the upper planes of the nightmare. It's very cool. It's very cool. Mensis have taken those teachings and are trying to conduct their own peculiar versions of the rites to transcend themselves. And Hemwick Charnel Lane have taken somehow, somewhere down the line, have learned of those teachings, but they've received some distorted echo of them, and the result itself is distorted and perverted, and it's just brilliant. I love that. And none of this anywhere is stated. None of it is stated. You've just got to infer it by the symbolism. It's beautiful storytelling. I mean, it is that more than anything for me is what does it for this game. It's the storytelling. Here they are, the women of Mensis, the old mothers of Hemwick, all of whom have been driven mad. I get the impression from their garb and from their instruments that not only are they like daughters of the harvest, it's as though they are, as well as being the funeral caretakers, they're also harvest women. It's as though they grow the crops, maybe for Yharnam, but also tend to the dead. I mean, there's something really beautiful about that. Really beautiful about that. If you look, they're all armed with cleavers for meat. They're all armed with sickles for wheat and corn, and there's wheat and corn growing. And then there's these characters with their hot irons. You know, God knows what those are for. It's kind of brilliant, isn't it? That degree of storytelling that is all aesthetic, it's all in the design. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Okie dokie. If we'd have come here before we, no? No, she's just going to grunt and groan at me. But if we came here before we killed Vicar Amelia and moved the night on, she'd have spoken to us. She'd have actually said something. It's just a brilliant way of allowing players to replay the game and experience something different. If you take slightly different routes, slightly different things happen, and the nature of the areas is different. It's spectacularly good. I'm in awe of this game still. I mean, it's saturated. I mean, it's everywhere on the internet. There's like entire Bloodborne and Dark Souls cultures on the internet, and it still fascinates me. I've played it through any number of times, and I still can't get over the storytelling in it. I still can't get over the atmosphere of it. Alongside Pathologic 2, it's probably one of my favourite games of all time. It's hard to imagine anything knocking it off its top spot, you know? I'm sure it will eventually, but it's hard to imagine. And it probably will be another From Software game. Maybe Elden Ring, eh? Who knows? Maybe Elden Ring. Not so sure about that. I mean, I quite like George R. Martin. I'm not that bothered about his writing, though. It's not my style. It's really not my style. It's okay. You know, it's. I understand and appreciate the work that goes into things like Game of Thrones, for example, but it's not my style. It's not something I particularly enjoy. I liked the television show just fine. I wasn't ever as invested in it as many people were. It's fun, you know, it's fine. But I was never as invested in it. Hey, oh yes, I forgot about you. They're very beautiful, aren't they? Shadow creatures. They're like mandrakes from the Warhammer 40,000 Drukhari range. And I love the luminous moonlight in their eyes. That's gorgeous, isn't it? They're like manifestations of the insanity. The lunar-based insanity of this area. It's gorgeous. I love the fact as well they've managed to meld all these different types of horror. So you've got Lovecraftian horror running throughout, cosmic horror, occult horror, folk horror. It's quite brilliant. Now, yes, there are lots of these guys here as well, the big sort of ogre-like guys. And that leads me to believe one of the things I made up in my own head, as like inferred, is that they are the perverted sons of Hemwick Charnel Lane. That they are like the children of Hemwick Charnel Lane who have been born deformed and distorted because of the rites they're practicing, you know, their mother's practice. It's like they're distorted by the blood, for one thing, by the imbibing of the old blood, and also by whatever rites are being practiced here. It certainly fits in with the theme. I mean, blood-born, you know, birth and pregnancy and conception are all significant themes within this game. There's also an implication that this was like an outlying fort or something of Yharnam once upon a time, maybe back in its heyday, when it was a little bit more prosperous than it is now. What did she call me? I'm not quite sure what she... Lousy brat? I don't know. Can't open this yet, unfortunately. Got to open that from the other side. Excuse me. I also like the way the different phases of the moon alter the areas aesthetically. So the colour palette is different because the lighting is different. When you come here before killing Vicar Amelia, it's quite bright. The sun is still out, so there's oranges and yellows and golds everywhere. But now it's dark. Now it's dark and kind of creepy, gotta say. Oh yeah, cripes, this area. Lots of crows around here. Oh, there's one of those here as well. That's going to make this difficult. That's going to make this tricky. Oh, God, they're fast. Very skittery, aren't they? I also like the fact they're holding sickles as well. Another symbol both of death but also of the harvest, yeah? And there's definitely some element of harvesting going on here in Hemwick Charnel Lane. We will see it when we reach the Witch's Abode. Oh yeah. There is, hidden amongst these crows here, there's the one only friendly crow in the game. It doesn't talk to you or anything, but it won't attack you. Unfortunately, it's almost impossible to save if you want to kill these guys. It's probably dead. But it's just a weird little thing the designers threw in. It's one of the only crows in the game that won't attack you, for some reason. Okay, right, we've got too many pebbles. I'm going to activate the shortcut, obviously, just in case I die. Down we go. Right, that'll be active now, so I can just get right back on. Yeah? I love the fact these things are all over Yharnam. It was obviously a bit of an innovation when someone developed the lift, yeah? Right, this is going to be tricky. This bridge here is a death trap. You've got to fight one of the big guys here, and it's so easy to get pushed over the edge. I mean, of course, you can use that to your advantage and push them over the edge too, so... Bone Marrow Ash is very, very good. Very useful against certain bosses, as we saw against the Abhorrent Beast. Ooh, got you. Gotta be careful of the witches as well. There's one that does come out here and starts chucking Molotovs at you. I always like to think she's his mother. And she's sort of like, don't you touch my son, you know? Oh. God, these guys are tough. They can enter into a bit of a frenzied state, the Witches of Hemwick, so you need to kill them quite quickly. If they do catch you in that flurry of blows, it can kill you instantly. It can kill you in one go. Right, it's some sort of barn, lots of dead things, lots of dead horses around. Oh, and one of those weird deformed dogs. Oh, here they come. God, there's a few of them in here. Jesus. Where did she come from? Gotta be careful in here. Because of the night, those shadow things will manifest. Oh, there's someone in a wheelchair up there. Probably go and kill them later. Yes, if I remember right, one of those shadows things manifests here. Yeah, thought so. Difficult to fight it here, especially with the Scrabbly to deal with. That's the thing with the Scrabblies, it's always a risk, it's a considered risk. There's very often a monster nearby that's guarding them. And you've got to take the plunge, you know, either you're going to do it or you're not. God, he's pretty difficult to stagger. Oh, he's got me, what's he doing? Oh shit. Oh, this is proving difficult. Right. Take you down the old-fashioned way then, shall we? Out of bullets, so I don't really have any choice. Hooray! Fortunately, my holy moonlight blade makes short work of him. It looks as though some measure of study was being conducted in this barn as well, doesn't it? As though the women, the witches, were practicing their occult rites, maybe, or researching them. I love the fact that every culture in Yharnam is interested in some measure of transcendence, all of them, every tradition of the hunters, every college, every church, they're all, oh there's Grandpa, they're all trying to find their own ways through this nightmare, but to something ultimately brilliant and beautiful, you know, to transcendence itself. It's very, very, very different from Dark Souls, where in Dark Souls you're not seeking after anything like that. It's moribund, you know, everything's dead. You're being hurtled through events as a bit of grit in the engine. That's it. That's all you are. Whereas here, the onus, the emphasis is entirely different, which is ironic, because Bloodborne is the more concertedly horror-based game, whereas Dark Souls has more of a dark fantasy edge to it. It's fascinating stuff. I mean, I do wonder, will there ever be another Dark Souls, or did they end it with Dark Souls 3? I mean, technically, the metaphysics of Dark Souls did end with Dark Souls 3. The ultimate end of everything occurred at the end of Dark Souls 3. So, who knows? Who knows? Bloodborne would be easy to do another game for. I mean, the nights are never-ending. Yharnam still exists, and there are all the other cultures as well. The night endlessly recycles, and I'm sure there are other nightmares as well. So that over there is Cainhurst. That would be Castle Cainhurst. This is the broken bridge to Cainhurst. So there was once a link between Cainhurst and Hemwick, which is kind of interesting. Cainhurst, of course, being the another form of horror. It's the gothic horror section. It's ghosts, it's vampires, it's poltergeists, it's living gargoyles. It's very cool. Will you be able to go there relatively soon, actually? We need to get the Cainhurst summons first. Once again, another area I didn't go to in my first playthrough. Did not know it existed. Because it's so obscure. I mean, it's like Simon's Quest obscure, how you have to get to Cainhurst. I had to look it up, because I had no idea how to do it. In fact, the only way I can imagine you could figure it out is by accident. If you didn't have access to the internet or a play guide or something. Because the way is actually here. It's actually down there, the way to Cainhurst. That's what part of why Hemwick Charnel Lane exists. It's as a sort of crossroads to different areas. I imagine when the people who first played this game found the way to Cainhurst, they were very surprised. Very surprised indeed. I mean, the way you get to Cainhurst is it's cribbed directly from the opening sequences of Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Cribbed directly, which makes sense because like Cainhurst is the castle of the local vampires, or vile bloods as they're called. Oh, down she goes. Fair enough. I'm not getting her yet, not from here. Right, need to be careful here. There's a woman just there. Gotcha! Oh, she's being tricky. If you just blithely walk into that sort of cabin area, she grabs you from behind and does you a mischief. Oh yes, there are also. This is what you're supposed to take as a clue. The fact that there are executioners here in this area, they only occur where they are seeking out vile bloods. It's like you're following a path of them. That's what this is supposed to be a clue to. The fact that there are two of them here, that is supposed to tell you that this is a way to get to Cainhurst. It's very subtle, isn't it? It's very clever, very subtle. I really love that, I've got to say. Come on. In fact, there are more than two. There are about 3 here, I think. There's another one just up the way there. It's as though they know, isn't it? As though they can sense the influence of Cainhurst. Oh, we got him a good one there. That was perfect. That was perfect. God, they die so readily to those visceral attacks. Hey up. Whoa, I forgot about her. She's in the worst place imaginable. I wonder who all these people are who are staked out. Are they people of Hemwick? Like maybe the men of Hemwick, I don't know. Or are they those suspected of being vile bloods? I guess because they're being impaled, and this being like a reference to Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler, aka Dracula. I imagine they're supposed to be people are suspected of carrying the taint of the vile bloods. Because there was an entire purge, you know, there's an entire subplot involving a purge of people suspected of being tainted with what they call the vile blood, which is the blood of Cainhurst. This is tricky. There are loads of these hounds down here. Trying to get them one at a time, really difficult. I don't want to aggro them all at once if I can help it. Unfortunately, that may not be... Nope, they're all coming. Oh, fuck. Oh, there are so many. Nope, not dealing with that. Run away! Run away! Yeah, let's get them into an area where I can bottleneck them a little bit easier, shall we? I've got to get them down one at a time. If I try to take them on all at once, they're just going to maul me to death. Yes, that's going to help. They're very vulnerable to fire, so that is definitely going to help. Bit of Molotovs. Whoop. Oh. No, that was good. These dogs have killed me any number of times, I'm telling you. If you look at them, they're not... The hounds themselves are not deformed, they're not monsters. All of those, like, what look like bony protuberances sticking out of them aren't. They're blades that are either driven into them or strapped to them. It's as though they've been altered for some vile purpose. As though to torture them, you know, so it drives them rabid. It's very unpleasant. And it obviously works, you know? Deeply unpleasant creatures. Okay. I just want to go over here. I do want to kill her because I want to go to the very edge of the bridge. Gotcha. So this is the broken bridge to Cainhurst. Ligarius and his lot destroyed this bridge so as to prevent anyone accessing Cainhurst and anyone escaping from Cainhurst, of course. But once upon a time, Cainhurst and Yharnam were intimately linked. This is precarious. This is precarious. There's not much, I don't think, on the politics between the two. Quite how they operated. What is known is that Cainhurst are the old aristocracy, as you'd expect of vampires. They were probably here before the city of Yharnam was built. Now, we need to follow this path round and get to the witch's abode. Easier said than done. There are some tricky encounters up here, including another executioner. Now, the witch's abode is up there. She's presiding over her cult from up there. And she's very well protected. Can I get you? No, he's noticed me. God damn it. I was hoping I could get a visceral in on him from behind, but apparently not. Apparently not. Hey up, the witches are coming too. Great. Oh no, they're going back. That's good. Come on. What makes this really hard is if you activate them all at once and they all come rampaging at you. That is very tricky indeed. One at a time's not so bad. We can deal with one. Oh, crap. We can deal with one at a time, so he says. I mean, fortunately, the Witch of Hemwick herself is an easy boss. I don't think she's ever killed me. Like, once. Ever. Even when I first fought her, she was easy. She is one of the easiest bosses in the game. She's a tricksy boss. She uses a lot of arcane shenanigans, and because my insight is high, and because my arcane skill is high, she's going to have more powers than if I didn't. She's actually going to be a little bit tougher, but nothing to write home about. She can do things like, she'll be able to do this arcane explosion attack, and she'll also be able to hold me in place, so the demons she summons can have a go at me. This trio here are tough. It's because they balance one another out so well. You've got the one with the long range weapon. You've got the one that throws Molotovs. The heavy one with the sledgehammer. Right. Yeah, I'm gonna face the Witch of Hemwick right away. I wonder what this building was. Was this like where the once nobility of Hemwick like ruled over the people? This is weird. The implied horror of this with all the bound, trussed up corpses. The implication being that there indeed has been some sort of harvest occurring here of victims for occult experiments. Look, they're all strung up in various ways around the witch's lair. Here she is, and also that's not her, that's the witch. The witch is invisible. There she is. And as you can see, those things that look like barnacles all over her are eyes. She has grafted millions of eyes to herself in emulation of the rites of Mensis, which is in emulation of the rites of Bergenworth. And it has given her power. It's driven her mad, but it's also given her insight into the higher states of the dream. It's made her more powerful than her peers. Which is kind of cool, isn't it? I think this is really cool. I love this fight. It's such an interesting bit of variety. As long as you avoid those things, you're generally going to be alright. Again, another horror-based boss, which I really like. Great soundtrack. Creepy soundtrack. Sort of old-fashioned horror film soundtrack. There she is. Got to be careful with her, actually, because when this life bar is gone, two others will come up. She creates clones of herself. Because this is New Game Plus, she's slightly more durable and slightly more aggressive than she otherwise would be. Right, I think now she's summoned the clones, if I remember correctly. So some of these are not going to be real. They're going to be like projections of her. And you've got to find the right one. There's one. No, that's a clone, look. The life bar isn't going down. But you've got to get... It is best to get rid of them, because the clones can actually do the same arcane attacks. They can conduct the same magic as the witch herself, which can lead to some shenanigans. But it is just a case of keeping moving. As long as you keep moving, she's not going to hit you. And nor are they. They are much more passive than the ones you find outside. They don't really care, they just amble along. Nope, that's a clone again. It's very difficult to tell, because the only way you can tell really is if she's there, she's underneath the bridge, look. Nope, another clone, god damn it. She's got to be around here somewhere. Is that you? Yeah, that's you. Right, now two others should appear. Oh, is that it? No? Oh no. Ah, there we go. She has found herself some measure of immortality through these rites. It just didn't work out for her. Oh, she's up there. There's one of her arcane attacks. Didn't hit though. There's her gone. And I think, yeah, prey slaughtered. That's it. That is the Witch of Hemwick. The curse of Hemwick is over for now, such as it was. And if we light the lamp And if we just go down here, we will find this is one of the named hunters, this corpse down here. It's the guy who created the runes. Carol. This guy is the hunter Carol. Right, my loves, when we come back, we will do the next section of Bloodborne. I don't know what that will be, but until then, bye-bye!